Well, it looks like the SEC is trying to hide some documents and some information from Ripple once again. And we're going to see what the judge has to say about this. Not only are they trying to hide some documents, they're actually hoping that the rest of the XRP holders, and for that matter, the rest of the public, doesn't find information that is going to help Ripple's case. Well, there's a few people on Twitter right now that are asking for our help. What are they looking for? I have some pieces of information that would greatly help them and thus help Ripple in the case versus the SEC. So I'm going to go over what you guys can do in this video. Also, whales have been adding enormous amounts of Bitcoin to their holdings over the past 10 days. I'm going to talk about how much they actually added and what Bitcoin is up against right now, and hence the rest of the crypto market, including XRP. Because until this case is over, I foresee XRP as being coupled to the movements of Bitcoin. And not only that, the other day I made a video about the SEC going after yet another crypto company. Now that was an obvious fraud. However, because Gary Gensler has made note that he wants to go after decentralized exchanges, well, what they're doing right now is absolutely backing it up. I have some information about what the SEC is now doing with the decentralized financial exchange Uniswap. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. And right now on this channel, we are covering the SEC versus Ripple, along with other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if you want to follow along with any of those topics, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon so that YouTube will send you a notification when I release a new video. And I believe people in the crypto space are some of the most generous people on the planet. So if you are feeling generous today, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. That, along with watching the video all the way through, those are the two best things you can do when you want to support a YouTube channel. So if you do that, I would really appreciate it. All right, guys, so let's jump into it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here is what the SEC is actually doing with decentralized crypto exchange Uniswap. Now, the SEC has not officially announced that they're going after Uniswap. However, some insider sources have said that they are now investigating Uniswap, just like they were investigating Ripple 2 years ago. Now, this comes directly from Gary Gensler's playbook because he's made no bones about it. He's absolutely not trying to hide anything. He wants to go after exchanges and find out what, if any, wrongdoing or misconceptions or deceptive marketing practices or anything along those lines is actually taking place. So what they're actually looking into with Uniswap right now is, number one, their marketing practices, and number two, any lending platforms on the back end that they want to find out what on earth is going on. And they want to get to the bottom of if Uniswap actually resisted any oversights previously, because to them, that's going to be a huge red flag. Now, if you're in the crypto space, that's just par for the course. That's why they're decentralized, because they don't want oversight and regulation from outside entities. And of course, on that note, the price of Uniswap fell. So on my last video, I announced that the SEC is going after another cryptocurrency company, basically a scam, BitConnect, from a couple of years ago. And this is no surprise. It was obvious fraud from the get-go. However, going after Uniswap, in my opinion, going after and announcing these things, even though they haven't officially announced it yet, could be construed as essentially a cover-up, or going after companies and making other headlines so that this Ripple story tries to essentially fade out. Why? Well, because the SEC has a lot of stuff that they don't want to come into the public eye, some of which the judge said needs to come to the public eye, or that she will actually be reviewing it in private. And the other part of it is that there's a few people on Twitter that are actually finding video after video of those in the SEC actually having meetings and doing conferences and giving keynote speeches at different conferences that would really lend to Ripple's fair defense notice. So if you follow me on Twitter, I retweet a lot, a bunch of people, but mainly there's John Deaton, who is an outside attorney covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, as well as Digital Asset Investor, who's also a YouTuber, and he's very big on Twitter, been uncovering some videos from several years ago with especially Bill Hinman and several others basically giving their opinions on whether Ether and Bitcoin were securities or not at a certain time. Well, now the big story that people are trying to uncover with this was that are there people who had noticed that Bill Hinman and the SEC were going to essentially give their opinion and declare that Ether is not a security, so that those people would have a chance to have their buy orders go through before this now famous speech went through, and thus the price of Ethereum and Bitcoin skyrocket after that, which they obviously did. And there's even further conflict of interest because Bill Hinman, at the time he was at the SEC, was actually receiving millions of dollars from Simpson Thacher, who was the firm that he had worked for previously, who was representing companies that made major investments in what? Bitcoin and Ethereum. big time conflict of interest. So if you want to help out, Digital Asset Investor is on Twitter. I will link his account below. So he's looking for basically any Freedom of Information Act access to emails from Bill Hinman while he was at the SEC, or his official calendar, which I believe Digital Asset Investor already retweeted. Somebody tried to go after that, and the SEC says it's sealed. Of course, they don't want to release that. Why? Because they don't want to show people who he emailed or who he met with before his famous Ethereum speech, or find out if anybody else helped him write it. This rabbit hole is absolutely insane. So I will link those down below, my Twitter profile, as well as Digital Asset Investor Twitter profile, and John Deaton, and a few others. So not only are they looking for information that would help out a Ripple in this Ripple case and provide clarity to the rest of the crypto space, there's actually kind of a groundswell of support that is now calling for Congress to investigate the conflict of interest that the SEC had at the time that they were investigating Ripple, just like they're investigating Uniswap right now. Senator Warren Davidson, who is one of the few in Congress, however, there's a growing number in Congress, that want clarity to the rest of the crypto and digital asset space. So he actually tweeted out the other day to pass something called the Token Taxonomy Act, which would basically get rid of the regulation by enforcement, which is essentially what the SEC is doing now with the digital asset space, what they've been doing for the last several years. There's no clarity at all. And looking at the rest of the crypto space right now, it looks like Solana cooled off a little bit after leading the pack for several days. Chainlink is now doing well, and XRP sitting at $1.28 is just kind of holding the line while it waits to see what Bitcoin's going to do, because it's going to follow the movements of Bitcoin until this case is either completely over or really looks like it's going to be over. Although from my perspective, it looks like this case is leaning into Ripple's advantage quite a bit. And so Bitcoin has been sitting around $50,000 for several days now, and there was a report that came out that said whales, basically those who hold a large amount of Bitcoin, have been continuing to add large amounts of Bitcoin. Within the last 10 days, over 41,000 Bitcoin were added to whales holdings. Now remember, if you want to see what this space is actually doing, watch what the whales are doing. So if the whales are accumulating Bitcoin, there's a pretty good chance that 51,000 is not the dead cat bounce. It's not going to drop from here. But there's a lot of people that think that. But I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know if you think 51,000, if that is essentially the top for this market cycle before Bitcoin goes into a several year lull, or if you think the rest of the year is going to be face melting parabolic gains as Bitcoin and Ethereum and the rest of the crypto market just go sky high, including XRP. Now the speculation and predictions are of course all over the place. I'm not going to go over that now, but in my last video I talk about why some people think XRP is still going to be one of the biggest gainers this market cycle because of the case versus the SEC hopefully getting resolved within a month, within 2 months, within 3 months, who knows? But I've seen several very, very good cases to be made that XRP could absolutely 45, 60, and even 100x this market cycle. Once again, thanks for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.